Mark Jacobson served as a senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense during the Obama administration. He joins us now. So, Mark, I'm curious what your take was when you heard about Mattis's resignation.
Well, shock, disappointment, not in the secretary, but also sort of yeah, this is going to happen at some point. What we've seen over the last 6 months is a president who's even more unwilling to listen to his military experts than before, and Secretary Mattis had been rebuffed on his choice for the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the secretary, of course, had been rebuffed on Syria, as we now know, but I suspect also on U.S. reaction towards the Khashoggi murder, and probably on Afghanistan as well. So it was inevitable that at some point the policy disagreements would be too great for Secretary Mattis to be able to bridge that with continued service in the administration.
You know, it's not unusual, Mark, as you know, for a White House to not necessarily see things eye to eye with the Pentagon. That's not uncommon. But seeing it to this level, what sort of person do you think would take on that role as defense secretary, knowing what they're going into at this point?
Well, one who believes in the nation. I think, as most observers noted, when Secretary Mattis took the job, the hope was that there would be the proverbial adults in the room, people who could say, look, Mr. President, you ran an unconventional campaign, but there are certain realities in the world. The U.S. is in danger at some points. American lives, military lives, civilian lives are at risk over the world, and we have commitments, enduring commitments to our allies. I think what's different in this case is not that the president has regularly disagreed with the Pentagon. He appears now to not even consult the Pentagon. Now there are even greater concerns over what took place at the meeting the president had with President Erdogan, whether there was sort of a quid pro quo. Oh, we're giving you Patriot missiles. OK, you want to go attack the Kurds? Sure, I'm going to withdraw our troops from Syria. And the president appears not to even understand that he probably should consult the experts. You know, he doesn't know better than the generals, to put a twist on something Trump said during his campaign.
Do you have a sense of who the president might put in at this point?
Well, this has come up a couple times before where people suspected that Mattis might be leaving or frustrated with the job. And, two of the front runners are certainly Senator Tom Cotton and Senator Lindsey Graham, more so because they have been willing to really kiss the feet of the president on a number of issues. There's also some discussion about retired General Jack Keane, although I'm not so certain that the Senate is going to be willing to confirm another former general into the Secretary of Defense position. But I think those three names are certainly at the tops of anybody's list.
Knowing what you know now, that the president does want to pull out of Syria, does want to pull out of Afghanistan, as someone who was focused on defense policy, what is your biggest concern at this point when it comes to U.S. national security and defending U.S. interests?
I'm very sympathetic to the idea of bringing our troops home where possible. But I'm also realistic that one of the reasons we don't have to send hundreds of thousands of troops overseas is because we design operations for a small footprint to keep things on hold till the strategic situation changes. And I don't mean to sound too wonkish about it, but what that means is a small number of troops with a good strategy, a decent operational concept, can hold the line in Afghanistan and allow the Afghan government to negotiate with the Taliban. And in Syria, again, the situation is a bit more precarious, but ISIS isn't defeated. What I'm concerned about is the president's own national defense strategy and his own approach to things flies in the face with a withdrawal. And he seems to be doing so capriciously and kind of letting these ideas fall between his ears without thinking about the second order effects. In fact, we're already seeing reactions from the Kurds. For example, they may release all the captured ISIS fighters. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not sure how that really meets with our intent of destroying ISIS. Mm-hmm. And likewise, I think that it puts us in a position where we might have to negotiate from a position of weakness in Afghanistan when trying to get the Taliban and the Afghan government together.
Mark Jacobson. Mark, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.